Welcome back to the Mark Faris Experience. Today we are speaking with Robert Cikoja. He is the CEO of Habitat for Humanity. He oversees 42 employees. So this is going to be a really interesting talk because we're going to be talking about how you can support a really great charity, but how the charity needs to be run like a business. And we have Robert, who is perfect to be speaking into that. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Mark. Excited to be here.
Well, Robert, we've known each other for many, many years, and your reputation in, well, we'll just say north of Toronto, uh, they would know if you are in the Habitat for Humanity community, they know who you are. You've done a really great job. You've been expanding your reach in regards to the leadership side. So, I really appreciate you coming on the show and speaking into like how you've been able to be so successful and how to lead. I mean, 42 team members at this point.
People look at charity work and don't realize there is the business side of it. And if you don't see the business side of it, it won't be a long time until there's a big gap in that charity space. And as most businesses that I've run, you're always looking for growth opportunities. And that's what I brought to the table with regards to I align our growth opportunities with our mission to be able to better the community.
Amazing. Well, let's go back. Let's hear a little bit about your backstory and what gave you that leadership, we'll say experience and kind of that business savvy. Maybe we can go back to the origin story for us.
Well, I don't know how far back you want to go, but I came to this country as a immigrant refugee from a communist country that no longer exists. So I love saying that it no longer exists. But from an early stage on, I didn't understand the language. So I went to school not having any bearing on what was being taught. And I believe that a lot of that self-teaching that I had to do on my own time gave me the discipline to realize nothing here is given. You have to earn it. And through that kind of mindset, having two parents that, again, they came here not knowing the language, but they had bills to pay, a roof to put over my head. They had to work hard on that aspect. But as you start getting older and understanding, I guess, how the world works, you realize there's different pathways you can take in order to facilitate having a certain standard of living. And for me, that meant business. I was always acutely interested in how businesses were run, how to run a business. And so I followed that path quickly out of university. I was hired on at FedEx and rose through the ranks there to become hub manager. And when I say rose through the ranks, it's not an organization that you can quickly rise through the ranks. They have a stable crew of management that tend to have a long life shelf life there. But I did bring some unique perspectives and change some of their thought processes on how to deal with employees, how to improve our productivity, and so forth. They recognized it. They brought me forth. But going to how an organization can really quickly sour you, I ended up reaching a level of regional director to where I was reporting to a VP from Canada and a VP from the US that didn't like each other. And I had to do 1 week, make one happy, the next week, make the other happy. And they actually ruined my zest for continuing my growth in that company. And I moved on. And then that went into another management position at a construction company. And a couple of years there, felt an urge to be my own boss. I felt like I can do what I bring to the table is I relationship build. I have some knowledge of business, running businesses, that I thought I can do this on my own. And so I did and became fruitful. The relationships that I had built proved to network into other relationships that created enough of a stable work situation for myself that I was able to see a longer lasting future. And then something happened in the economy.
Mm.
and the
What
economy starts.
business was that, Robert, that you
It was a construction company that I
construction
started.
company? Good, and
Yeah.
then okay, and then the okay,
And
market.
then the economy hit. And when the economy hit, so we're talking probably somewhere in the 2008, 2009 crash. Everybody was holding on to their money. But what they were doing is they were waiting to get into their projects halfway and then hold back money. So I was finding that I was struggling getting my receivables in time, and I was drawing out of my own personal account in order to pay my suppliers, pay the labor, keep the business afloat. Um, Through that, I started recognizing that what I really enjoyed about being an entrepreneur was taken away. And I decided to go a different route. And that's how I got involved with Habitat. It was a colleague of mine said, hey, they're looking for something along these lines. And sure enough, went through the interview process. Honestly, was looking at it as something that I can do as a side hustle while I was still running my business. Um, until they came up to the mark and said, we want to give you the wheels to the car here. And I said, okay. Um, it's not going to be an easy ride for you because there is a lot of improvement. And the rest is history. I've been here now for better part of 11 years.
Wow. So okay, so going through that challenging period there, and then working your way out, and then taking what you've done now. So, give us some context. When you started at Habitat, how many employees were you overseeing, and what did that look like? That growth period over that 10 years? Because to date, I mean, you've helped a lot of families. There's like 63 homes you've taken over and built homes for families that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford homes, right? And so I've been a part of this in the past, and it's a real beautiful thing to see that people that couldn't afford to get into home ownership, and all of a sudden they're homeowners, and like to see their faces, and you have the hand in part of that's pretty amazing. But give us some context on that growth over that period since you've joined.
So when I started, we had, I believe, 18
Mm.
employees at the time. We were building one home a year. Um, we are now up to 4 homes a year, and I'm about to scale that to about 15 homes a year.
Amazing. Okay.
It's the old model that they worked off. When I say model, their mortgage model, um, it had strong limitations. So what they used to do was fundraise until they had the full amount to build a home.
There's no mortgage on that. They didn't get
No,
mortgage.
yeah,
Okay.
no, it was so grassroots. Now the family would get a mortgage. It would be a very low mortgage, but um, our we would not recoup any of the expenses. So with that being said, we were building what we could while with what we could fundraise. Again, that gives you limits on how fast you can build, how much you can build, and it's all dependent on outside sources. So what I saw quickly on is we needed a new mortgage model. Um, the old model allowed people to come into home ownership, and once they signed on the dotted line, it was their home. Mark, you're very familiar with what happened up here in Barrie with terms of inflation and housing costs. There was a period where when I bought my first home in Barrie, which was through Faris team, um, I paid 309 for my bungalow on a 60-foot lot.
Yeah.
That home, once I moved into another home, 4 years later, was selling for 1.1 million.
Mm.
That kind of growth can't be sustained in a labor market such as Barrie ever. But it was a lot of people moving up from Toronto, selling their home, having a windfall, easy peasy. What that created for us at Habitat was people were selling their Habitat homes, and I had a lot of donors and suppliers and manufacturers coming to me and saying, "We don't mind helping, but this is a lottery ticket. We could look at funding, taking our funds into another avenue that isn't about giving a family a lottery ticket."
Got it.
So we had to change our mortgage model to suit that. And I was able to maneuver the the end result of the families graduating from our program into a benefit for them and a benefit for us. And the way I was able to change it was they have to sell it back to us at what it's mortgaged at. So they get a lump sum to move on to whether it's a down payment for a new home or if they're moving out of the country, whatever they're going to facilitate it with. But it gives us the ability to buy back that home at a reasonable cost. So if I mortgage them at 300K, 10 years from now, they're selling it back to me at 300K. But housing prices might be at 800K on the market.
Got it. Yeah. So your down payment pretty much, you go and build it and then they get a mortgage on it. They continue on with the mortgage, but the amount that Habitat is able to give them is pretty much the because they would you leverage that at 80% leverage or
Uh, so because our homes are completely paid off, the way we look at it, their mortgages were at 0% interest.
Mhm.
Every penny that they put in,
Goes
they
right
get
to
out.
principal.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And so, but at the end of when they decided to move, and another philosophical change I'm going to get to, um, when they would graduate to the point where either they've been stabilized career wise, their earnings are are exceeding what now makes it affordable for them to be in here because every year they're vetted at 25% of their income.
Mm.
So there's a certain point where their income, because of the stability created of our program, exceeds logically having a mortgage for themselves. And I'll give you an example. We had a family move in, income of about 80 grand per year as a total household income. 5 years later, he's making well over 200 grand. Well, his home mortgage was, I think it was about $3,300.
Mm.
And it didn't make sense for him to be in it. It's a small 1,100 foot.
Yeah.
He came to us and said, it's time for me to leave. He got all of his payments back that he put into his mortgage, 100% in a lump sum that he used to move on. And we were able to bring in a family under that affordable housing guideline at a reasonable rate.
So with the affordable, so this program, so it's pretty much at 0% interest. So the government provides the loan and
Zero. No, government, we provide the loan.
you provide the loan, but it's at a 0%. That's
Yeah.
it's through the and is government funded.
No, we have no government funding. We've been self-sustaining
Oh,
ever since
okay.
inception. Yeah. The only government funding we actually received was during COVID when they were allowing for us for they were giving us the ability not to lay off people and they were covering their
Mm.
salaries.
So there's from an affordability of housing standpoint, is there have you had any assistance at all in regard
Well, from the community. So we get direct
to
sponsorships that came,
yeah,
yeah, but from the government, none.
nothing. Yeah. Yeah. See, there's yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have been able to work out some deals with individual municipalities prior to Bill C-23 with the DC charge.
Yeah,
Barry was always ahead of the curve. They waived DC charges for us.
good.
Um, some municipalities like Allison would waive taxes or incrementally get taxes for 10 years until they reach the full tax amount. There's always
Yeah.
something that the municipalities did. But yeah, 0% mortgage, zero down payment.
Mm.
They did have to do 500 hours of volunteer time. Capped at 25% of their income. And we've got data that shows that combination and being in homeownership gives you enough financial stability to start growing in other areas where kids
Yeah.
can actually go play hockey or family can have a vacation or they're not looking every month on what they're going to cut out of their bills
Yeah.
to make life the standard we know Canada can provide.
Well, I mean, we are in a mutual business, as in we getting people into home ownership, right? That's what we're very synergistic. And so that's, I know Mike Balchin from the team and, Faris, we're, big supporters of what you're doing. I think that home ownership right now I tell first time home buyers, it's harder today for sure now to buy. That being said, if you think it's possible, it'll be possible for you. Now, in some cases, when people think it's impossible, they don't even try. But I know that there's some cases as well where, Robert, I know like your clients where it's just like they've had a bad dealt of hand, like their hand has been like just a really poor, we'll say, hand that was dealt to them. Right. And so that's where you're coming in and you're saying, hey, we're going to help you get there. But getting into home ownership, the average net worth, here's an interesting number, is the average net worth of a renter is $6,000 and the average net worth of a homeowner is $210,000.
Absolutely.
Right. And so as soon as you get that,
It's generationally changing.
changes
Or
everything.
yeah, yeah, and this is why I stand on what we provide. We are part of the housing continuum, but I feel like we're an overlooked part of the housing continuum because everybody looks at the most vulnerable stages, which is homelessness and all that, and then there's market rentals. But we are the stepping stone to market home ownership. Um, it's to your point, if you give up on the idea of home ownership, which I hear a lot nowadays, and I combat it with everybody I hear, um, you've given up. It's not going to happen for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to have it in an innate understanding that once you're in home ownership, your life is changing, and not just yours, your kids,
Yeah.
because we have data that shows that 79% of homeowner children become homeowners. Well, guess what? That's almost 80% of that population that doesn't revert back into market rentals, which again clogs that continuum. But instead, they move on to home ownership. Why? Investing has changed, but it's still the biggest investment of your life, and it gives you that shell from the elements.
Yeah. No, that's good, really good insight, Robert. It's you're serving like that middle market. I spoke with Berry Food, like the food bank is another charity we really get behind as well. And what the new president was saying there is that their usage today is 3 times higher than it was pre-COVID. 3 times.
What would be even more striking is if they did an income survey of who's their clientele now,
Mm,
because I know people that I would be blown away would be using the food bank and they're paycheck to paycheck. The environment has changed, and it's changed quicker than people have been able to adapt. That's the issue.
what do you think is causing that, Robert?
In my opinion, poor governance.
Yeah.
Some of our policies have restricted the ability for any growth, and it's mind-boggling that it's a proven platform that's worked. It's shown that it's sustainable, and for some reason, our government for the last, I would say, decade plus, has thought that eliminating it is a pathway forward. Um, they like to throw the property investment under the table, and well, there is foreign investment that crowds the market. um we should be looking at investment into property as the way out instead of
Mm.
blaming it
Instead of blaming
you
it.
know yeah.
Well, yeah, and I've experienced that. I mean, and our clients and investors have experienced that, yeah, with, we'll say, a non-paying resident, you own a property, and it's like 12 to 18 months to get somebody out of your own house, which is I've had more investors come to us within the last couple of years and say, "Hey, listen, I'm done with this. I'm selling," and I maybe some people would look at that and say, well, if you sell it and you sell it to an end user, maybe that, creates some more inventory. With that being said, that money now it's getting out of that market. And it's not anytime that new money goes into real estate, it creates jobs, right? And so, and then, the returns there, that can be reinvested. But from a wealth standpoint, when people are making money, they can spend more money, which then when they're spending more money, then the restaurants and everybody's getting more money. And so this whole cycle. What I really liked about what you did is you saw a model that was moving very slow, 1 home a year, and now you're looking to, like, scale it up over 10x by and the way you did it was you got feedback. You got feedback from the marketplace telling you, like, "Listen, that's a lottery ticket. I don't wanna do that." And it's like, "Okay, well, how can we restructure this to, make our dollars go further?" And then you took action on that as well, which was really smart, and now the families that you're helping is like a 10x plus difference.
And then really not just changing the mortgage model, that was part A. Part B was looking at our funding model. So I had to partner with a financial institute and give them the understanding, the benefits of what we're doing, so that they would partner with us and give us the capital upfront to allow us to build. So now I no longer the fundraising still exists because it adds on to paying down that quicker, but um, I have capital up front so that I don't have to turn down acreage. I don't have to turn down building because I don't have the capital to do it. The advantage of that allows me to build. And once it's built, those homeowners in and we play the middleman will be paying us a mortgage and we just pay it back to the financial institute. It's a win-win for everybody. I don't know why. Again, I come from a construction background where everything is very logical and laid out. This was very plain to sight for me, a move to make. Those two combined allowed me to be able to maneuver Habitat into a place where we can actually have an impact up here. And that was one of my key words when I started up here was we're going to make an impact. When I got hired on at Habitat, I didn't even know they existed in Barrie. I thought I was like, I'm not really interested in going abroad to help disaster relief or whatever. They're like, no, we're local. And I was like, what? So
Smart.
for me, yeah,
So how did you when you were like, "Okay, I need a new funding model," because when there's a lot that comes up, I gotta be able to jump on that. So there'd be listeners out there saying, "Hey, listen, I really like that idea." Where would you even start when you're like, "Okay, I need a fund, somebody to be able to fund this upfront?" How did you approach that, and what advice would you have other we'll just say maybe they're real estate investors or maybe they wanna start a business and they need upfront cash. What would your recommendation be for them to do?
it's going to sound cheesy,
No, it's
but
not.
networking,
Networking.
networking. I made myself available to every possible avenue that I could, where I would meet like-minded um, opportunities, is what I call them. But they're people, but they're opportunities to engage each other. And I would tell my story. Now, in the background, I did my own research on how can I facilitate it by by cutting down what our problem was, how I can achieve that solution and make it palatable to a partner. And then I went and sold it to everybody who would listen. And I'll tell you, the first three major banks said, we're not interested. They have their philanthropic side that they sign their check off on, but they were, sounds a little like we're too involved in your business. I thought, okay. Um, Number four sat down and said, we're intrigued. Walk through it. And then I brought them to the table to help manipulate that mortgage model so that it worked for both parties.
Mm,
And this was a situation, and this is my rule of law in business. When you shake hands, don't ever shake hands thinking that you have just got one over on that guy.
mm.
Because if he feels like you got one over on him, that's the last deal you'll ever do together.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
So, anyways, to the point of that fourth one, I brought him in. We worked together, and he was able to go to his uppers and say, "Hey, we came up with this great idea. It's a PR boon for us, blah, blah, blah." And before you knew it, we're sitting down there rating up mortgage models.
That's so genius. I've read a book that was called Your Net Worth is Your Network. Your net
Yes.
worth is your network. And it's really good insight. One door, one relationship can change your life. And in this case here, I mean, you open up a whole new pathway for Habitat by building those relationships. And I really like what you were saying, tell your story. So, do you have any advice when you share a story? Like, how do you construct a good story for business, say, entrepreneurs that are going out there? What would your advice be?
I'll give you my aspect of being an early on entrepreneurial spirit. I also had a big ego, and that ego didn't allow for vulnerability because I felt vulnerability was weak. What Habitat has taught me is that the vulnerability aspect is tied in with honesty equals a closed deal. Nobody can shy away from having you give an honest perspective of where you want to be, what you want to do, and open that vulnerability to that other party to say, "Come on in. I'm going to share this with you. Can you add to the journey? Can we make this work?" And more often than not, it works.
Yeah, that's really good.
And it sounds like it should be like it's all like kumbaya, some weird cult thing. It's not.
Yeah.
It's human nature. And what I tell everybody when it comes to business is it's still a human business. Business is a human business. It's relationships.
Yeah. Well, and you invited them in versus like, "I'm going in for the hard close now." It's like, I wanna
Yeah.
invite you in and experience this with me, and we're doing a good
Yeah.
thing here. That's really good.
Yeah.
Let's dive in a little bit to the growth of, hiring and bringing people on. So, when you started, you had, you've pretty much you've 4x'd your number of team members that are working with you. So, how do you find talent, and how do you find people that stay with you to help grow this mission that you're on?
I'd love to say I have the perfect recipe for that in the
Yeah.
beginning. Working for a nonprofit is much more challenging than a for-profit business. And where I say that is because the remuneration is never going to match what market value is. That's the mindset that nonprofits have. So we'll take somebody who's just got out of school, somebody entry level starting that. I completely shifted the mindset on that and said, let's pay for professionals.
Mm,
Meaning my construction department is going to be professionals. My accounting department is going to be professionals. My family services are going to be lawyers. And why? It is a little bit more expensive, but it saves me in the long run and it gives me the ability to do what we do um, with a level of professionalism that at the end of the day, everybody knows we're still a business.
mm,
Even though we're a charity and we have all the flowery, big hugs and we love what we do, if you don't have that level of professionalism, it's a slow grind to get to that end result. But when you have professionals, it seems a lot smoother. They'll put in the processes that they need. They'll eliminate the obstacles. They've been through that before. Whereas when you're hiring early on, and again, we were hiring early on, knowing full well that we're going to have turnover. We're going to have micromanagement on it. So, and all it does is it takes away for your ability to do what you do. I am hard hard against micromanagement. Why? Because it takes away from me being able to do what I need to do. If I'm going to hire you, I have to trust you. If I'm going to trust you, it's because I've vetted what I believe is the right person for the job. Is it 100% hit all the time? No,
yeah.
but I'm shooting at a good 80% right now.
Yeah. I think that's a genius model that you've implemented. And I've seen that in my own career when I hired really sharp talent. I had to pay them more, but the return on investment was much, much greater. And so you're
It's,
going to pay for it one way or another.
yeah, it's
You're going to
true.
pay in the salary, or you're going to pay in your lost opportunity or lost, the
In our case, it would be lawsuits. We could have lawsuits. And that's how I vetted it, was saying, hey guys, we have to minimize our liability. And how do I do that? By making sure that our staff is top notch. When I say top notch, they're very good at what they do. They can be doing something for more money somewhere else. They took a little bit, we gave a little bit, and then I allow them to freedom to actually do what they can do. I don't interfere. I deal with the end result. And if they have a stumbling block or they can't, my door is open for that, where I can give them maybe some insight that they don't have. Um, but they're held accountable for their spot.
Mm. Can we talk a little bit about your mission? Do you have like a mission statement that you had said impact, that was one of the words when you
Yeah.
had come in, but is there like what would you say would be the mission of Habitat for Humanity?
We do have a mission statement, and I'm going to butcher it right now because it's changing every 3 years because of Habitat International. But we provide stable, safe, and affordable housing to the community through the community,
Mm,
meaning that the community is there to help put families into affordable home ownership. So, what people tend to forget. They see the restore and they think, okay, you're a retail outlet. No, that is our social enterprise that pays the bills. We're home builders, affordable home builders. And and if you look under that window, then you realize you're a business. And the charity stuff is the bonus part.
yeah, that's really good. That mission is so important with growth of any company, or we'll just say any organization for that matter, that everybody is clear. What is it like? What's the big purpose? What's the why? Why are we coming in? What are we doing here? I think that mission statement is powerful. And, I think if when people know what it is that you're doing, I think that that provides, I mean, purpose is a big thing now. I found it's more important today than ever that,
It really is, yeah.
right, A players, they wanna know that they're making an impact, that your word, again, going back to what you had said, impact, they're making an impact in what it is that they're doing, and I think COVID changed that, it to further exacerbate that need for, really sharp people. It was like a purpose is a big one, mastery that they're getting better and they're improving. And then the third was like autonomy, like you had said. It's especially A players, they hate,
Oh,
hate, hate, hate to be micromanaged. But that being said, they still need, I found that rather than saying, checking up on them all the time, it's like, here's the outcome as I'm gonna get clear with them. Here's the outcome that I'm looking for. And a lot of times you'll say, here's what I'm thinking it is. I'm like, okay, great. That's a great outcome. We can agree on that. But then there's follow-up to that those crucial conversations still need to happen, I've found, but they're just less and less and less with the A players, where if you get like a B and C, it's like you're constantly trying to motivate them and get them going. But I found with A players, you just need to provide clear outcomes and you stand back and they just run. And it's amazing to see what they do.
to your point, a B and C player for me means that I'm ending up doing their job for them.
Yeah, it's good.
And that's not my role here. And if you're not an A player, you can become one. And how do you become one? By owning what you do. And so I give them ownership over what they do and how they do it. Um, with a with the knowledge that saying, hey, if you need me, I'm available, but don't leave it till it's too late.
Mm,
And so how do I make sure it's not too late? I have bi-monthly meetings individually with each individual department.
mm.
I said, give me a quick update where you're at. Any issues? Do you have a problem? No? Good. Carry on.
Yeah, the that's really good. Those ongoing conversations. Yeah, no, that's great. Well, Robert, so you work with a lot of different investors. So you work with like entrepreneurs from a funding and giving side, and you've been around a lot of business and investing. What investing advice would you have for the entrepreneurs listening out there that, perhaps they're in this, there's uncertainty out in the market right now. Like, what are you seeing other investors and yourself doing? Like, what would you suggest to them for advice when it comes down to investing their funds?
Do your research. A lot of people feel like they hear some hearsay. They heard it through this guy, or they heard it through that guy, or they hear this is coming down the pipe. Do the research. Um, Also, find a mentor. find somebody that you feel has been successful. Um, and when I say successful, not just the intermediate, real quick hitter, but somebody who has a consistency throughout their career path of making the right decisions and just sponge off of that. That's the only thing. It's not a science that you can A plus B equals C. It's A. Oh, you might hit a D before you get to E, but then equals a Z.
Mm,
So that point for me is do the research before I invest in anything. I do the requisite homework, and much to your point, your net worth will equal your net work. Um, Put in the work, do the research, but lean on somebody. And if you can't in your space find that mentor, it's very, again, the internet has made the world a small place. Find somebody that you can follow.
mm. That's great advice, Robert. I really like that. Really like that. All right. Well, are we ready for a rapid fire part? I got 3 questions here, Robert, and then we're going to wrap it
Sure.
up.
Sure.
All right. So, first question is books. So, what would be your favorite book if you were to say, this is the one book that's made the biggest impact in my career?
It's funny, it ties in both worlds of that I love, which is business and football. It's called Winning Every Day. Lou Holtz.
Okay.
He is the head coach for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish football team. Um, he's a genius, and when I say find a mentor, he's been one of those that I've followed and did my research to emulate where his head is with regards to decision making, and it's a brilliant book. If you get an opportunity to read it, um, it's it'll give you the foundation of how to make decisions.
Yeah. That's such a good point, Robert, is that your mentor, your counsel does not need to be somebody that you see face to face. It can be somebody that, like, it could be King Solomon. It could be
Absolutely.
right.
Yep.
There's people like Jim Rohn. He's one of my guys that
Love that.
I look up to, that I call him a mentor. But, he's passed away, but he's recorded a lot of great, videos, and he's written great books. And, for you to change, for things to change, you need to change. It's like, you don't get paid for your time, you get paid for the value you provide in the time. Like all these little things that the little mentor
Yep.
clips he's provided. And so if you're listening, I think that's such a valuable point, is pick an advisor or pick anybody you want, but go deep on that person and listen
Yep.
to, because there's a good chance that they would have recorded something or written it down somewhere of maybe the challenge that you're going through. So that's just to add to what you're saying, Robert. I think that's really good insight for yeah, good counsel there. All right, second question is 3 words that others would describe you best as.
People that like me or that don't like me.
Was that the 3
Yeah,
words that closest people around you would say, would describe you?
I would say first and foremost, they say fun because I have fun
Yeah,
with everything we do.
yeah,
I try to bring smiles. I want everybody to interact with each other and feel good about either our interaction or our business deal. So fun would always be innovative would probably be the other word that I would use. I'm always looking at pivoting, changing, uh, making adjustments. I never like to settle for one formula for uh, for the catch-all. I always look at how can I improve on that. And third one, fair. I would say fair. Like I said, for me, it's important when I shake a hand, and I know this is a hypothetical handshake, but when I close a deal or make a deal, I'm not thinking about that deal. I'm thinking about the next 3 deals that we're going to make. And in order for those 3 deals to happen, 2 things have to happen. There has to be trust, and the other party walk away feeling that was a good deal.
yeah, that's good. Building the relationship again, right? So, great insight. And then what advice would you give your younger self?
You know what? It's funny. Somebody said that to me, asked that same question, and I said I wouldn't give myself advice because I going through the weeds and experiencing life and experiencing different situations allows you to um, morph your business model or your yourself into into something new. So if I would say to myself, don't be afraid of change. It's going to happen. It has to happen. Make it happen.
Man,
That's all I would say.
yeah,
Yeah.
great insight. So good. All right. Was there anything else, Robert, we wanted to pass on to listeners before we wrap up?
Well, I don't know if they know how well we've known each other. Mark sold me my first home up here in Barrie. His team, and this is where I go to your business model. Um, from when I came up here to now, it's exponential growth on what Faris team is up here, and it's huge. And I feel a sense of pride being a part of it. Not only on a personal level, because we had personal business, but on your philanthropic side with Habitat. Your organization has consistently, year to year, backed us. And when I say backed us, in the most important avenue that you could, which is monetarily. But your team comes out and builds our houses with us. You get to meet the families. And I think it's so integral for your staff and for your partners that join you on this journey with us, that they get the other side of it, because it'll inspire them, A, to be better people, but better at their business.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
kudos to you. And I want everybody to know that your success isn't just based off of numbers, black and white. There is an actual feeling behind what you and your family do.
Mm. Well, we appreciate you too, Robert, and your leadership and what the impact you're making in our communities. That's amazing. Now, for the listeners that want to perhaps help themselves, maybe they want to build or they want to give monetarily, what's the best way they can reach out and connect with you?
www.habitathuronia.com.
Wonderful. Robert, thank you so much for coming on the show. You did great.
Oh, my pleasure. I love this, and can't wait till you get out of the sunshine and get back up here in the cold.
Yeah. Well, I'm back and forth there, so I'll be there shortly. So, well, thanks for listening, guys. If you like the show, please share and subscribe to the channel where we are building a community of up and coming entrepreneurs. And if you are looking for real estate investment and you can't find any good deals out there, go to fulloutinvesting.com where we'll show you our 10-step full out investing process. And we actually have a sample deal in there as well as what you can invest into. And just remember, guys, the fastest way to build wealth is to grow your business and invest into real estate. I love you guys.